Your cat has been waiting its entire life for a specific 60-second interaction that most owners never provide. Most indoor cats spend hours in a state of quiet, focused anticipation, observing their environment for subtle cues of engagement. While they often appear content simply sitting nearby, they are scanning for a specific sequence of active validation. If a cat never experiences this specific 60-second sequence, their internal state remains at a high-tension baseline. University research into feline neurobiology suggests that cats rely on consistent owner feedback to regulate their stress levels, similar to the emotional reliance seen in human toddlers. This feline brain cross-section illustrates that reliance. The highlighted areas are dormant oxytocin pathways, inactive during most routines. The 60-second interaction activates these circuits, triggering a neurochemical surge that signals trust. Physical contact without this engagement leaves the pathways in a low-activity state. For a cat to register a deep sense of security, their brain requires this active chemical connection to be triggered regularly. If cats have such a clear biological need for our engagement, it raises a question: why do we perceive them as so aloof? Our perception is rooted in the history of the ancient wildcat, a solitary hunter, which we project onto the domestic cat sitting in a living room window. However, thousands of years of domestication changed their internal emotional responses to humans. Cats often hide signs of emotional distress or reliance as a survival instinct from those ancestors. When owners see a lack of overt signaling, they often assume the cat is satisfied with a lack of interaction. This misunderstanding leads us to withhold the specific bond their neurobiology is wired to seek. Looking at cat ownership on a wider scale reveals a significant gap between what cats require and what they actually receive. This chart illustrates that gap. While a small percentage of owners trigger that 60-second connection, the majority of cats live without it. Over years of absence, cats can experience emotional blunting, a state where they stop seeking connection entirely. This creates a state of chronic, low-level stress that persists throughout their lives. Veterinary data links this prolonged stress to lower immune function and a documented reduction in daily vitality. Rather than protesting, most cats simply stop waiting. This widespread misunderstanding leaves millions of animals living in a state of quiet detachment. This reality shifts the focus to your own home and how you choose to interact with your pet today. Right now, you finally understand exactly what your domestic house cat has been so patiently waiting for. But how do you actually do it? This is how you provide your cat with the specific conditions they need to interact with you. The biological reasons why this method works are often surprising. The first environmental requirement is a completely quiet, distraction-free room. Eliminating external stressors allows the cat to focus entirely on the interaction. You must also regulate your own breathing and emotional state. Because cats are highly sensitive to human physiology, they often mirror the energy of the people in their immediate space. This requires a commitment of 5 to 10 uninterrupted, intentional minutes every single day. The technique relies on this specific daily consistency. Setting this baseline environment is the necessary first step to move a cat out of a defensive posture and into a receptive state. To begin the physical technique, lower yourself entirely to the floor. This removes the height-based intimidation inherent in a standing human posture. Next, perform the consent test by extending a single, relaxed finger at the cat's nose level. The finger must stop exactly 1 inch away from the cat and remain perfectly still. Do not close that final gap or force contact. Reaching over a cat's head often triggers a defensive reflex. Approaching from above enters their blind spot and stalls the bonding process. Remaining strictly within this horizontal safe zone keeps survival instincts dormant, allowing natural curiosity to take priority over fear. By giving the cat total control over the distance, you ensure that any subsequent interaction is a choice they have made actively. Success is indicated when the cat bridges that final 1-inch gap themselves to rub their cheek against your finger. You will see micro-expressions of relaxation follow. This slow motion footage shows the eyes softening into a slow blink, while the tension leaves the whiskers. Physical and auditory confirmations typically follow, such as a low purr or the cat leaning their full body weight into your hand. This sequence of cues indicates the cat's brain has reclassified you as a safe entity, effectively sidelining their predator avoidance instincts. Following this routine leads to specific behavioral shifts within the first week. The cat lingers in the room, showing reduced reactivity to sudden movements. By the second or third week, cats transition from passive observation to actively greeting their owner at the door. By the 1-month milestone, the cat begins seeking out the owner's lap for comfort. Sarah, a rescue owner, applied this method with a 5-year-old cat that had spent 2 years hiding under a sofa due to past trauma. Within a month of using this daily technique, the cat began sleeping on her chest, demonstrating these behavioral milestones are achievable even with older, fearful animals. These shifts are driven by measurable neurochemical changes within the feline brain. This chart illustrates how the daily consent test systematically suppresses cortisol, the hormone associated with the feline stress response. As stress levels drop, oxytocin levels spike in both the cat and the human, providing the chemical foundation for a stable bond. Feline aloofness is often a biological defense mechanism used to assess safety, rather than a lack of social capacity. Psychology shows that cats are capable of deep social connection, but their survival instincts require clear, physical proof of safety before they engage. Adopting this specific, non-threatening physical language bridges the gap between feline survival instinct and social engagement. Because cats cannot communicate these needs verbally, the depth of the bond depends on the owner's willingness to adjust their physical approach. Starting this technique today allows you to begin the sequence of behavioral milestones we've discussed. Strengthening your relationship with your pet starts with understanding their psychology. Subscribe to Paw Secrets for more science-backed pet insights.